Continuing the road to recovery, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has allocated a $20.56 billion budget to support its undertakings in the 2023-2024 financial year. Of that, the overall total, $2.2 billion, will be used to fund 2 capital projects, while the remaining $18.35 billion is from the recurrent budget. That money will be used to support the poor, homeless and elderly, improve fire and waste management services, cover disaster mitigation and management, maintain parochial roads, and get water and electricity to more rural communities, among other critical interventions.
The ministry will strategically execute plans and programs around these priority areas within the context of the resources available.
As part of a $2.3 billion allocation, the Board of Supervision is in receipt of operational support to the sum of $1.06 billion. This will fund outdoor poor relief services and the Denham Town and Vineyard Town Golden Age homes, and provide social housing and poor relief services in communities. The upgrading and optimal operation of the island's infirmaries will continue with a $977.5 million budget. $126 million will fund initiatives for the protection and care of the homeless, including $31.94 million for the construction of a drop-in center. Local authorities or municipal corporations through which the ministry carries out many of its core functions within communities will be receiving $2.87 billion in operational support. And the Social Development Commission will continue its community and social services with $1.6 billion at its disposal. Rural development is another major priority for the ministry. The newly established Rural Electrification and House Wiring Branch expects to spend $316.47 million getting more Jamaicans connected to the national grid.
When we do get requests on new programs, it is investigated, and once the space is there, we have accommodated.
Rural communities will also receive help from $280 million set aside to continue the rainwater harvesting in schools project and the rehabilitation of catchment tanks island-wide, along with the provision of water supply systems. The Rural Water Supply Limited is also receiving $272.45 million to continue its work. And to ensure easier connectivity within and to rural communities, $155 million will provide emergency repairs to parochial roads on a priority basis. As a small island state, Jamaica is vulnerable to natural disasters that could significantly derail the country's national development. So, in this fiscal year, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development's single largest expenditure is $9.1 billion for disaster preparedness, mitigation, and response. The biggest portion of that, $8.59 billion, is for fire and rescue services. This includes $194.5 million for repairs and maintenance of select fire stations and $248.55 million to procure critical firefighting equipment. There is also $88.8 million for repairs and maintenance of fire vehicles and $70.7 million to repair and maintain fire hydrants. The main agency with oversight of disaster mitigation is ODPEM, and the entity is getting an operational budget of $539.8 million to carry out its duties. An added $360 million is allocated under the capital budget to continue a project for developing a national emergency communication system. This system is to coordinate incident response among the various critical agencies of government and volunteers. Among this year's targets are the installation of telecommunications equipment. 5 new repeater huts will be constructed. These are essentially base stations that extend the range of radios for communication between different disaster coordination sites. Siren towers or MATs will also be constructed in 15 locations across 3 communities: Port Maria, Bogwalk, and Old Harbour Bay. And solar racks will be constructed at Portland Cottage in Clarendon. Another area of priority is solid waste management. As part of an overall budget of $3.24 billion, $1.76 billion is to ensure public cleansing and garbage disposal island-wide. The National Solid Waste Management Authority (NSWMA) has also been distributed $1.85 billion for a capital development project to buy 50 compactor trucks. A central plank of the local government ministry's mandate is to provide social support to the poor and vulnerable.
We have been getting substantial assistance from the Ministry of Finance when we call on them. And we are streamlining for the new financial year to have a more effective program.